Welcome back to 5 Minute Money. I'm Bill Bland. Today we're going to be talking about paper. We're talking about mortgages, okay? So we're going to be talking mostly about defaulted paper. These are ways that you can buy property sometimes from the back end you can get in. Let's say somebody has a piece of property that they haven't been able to make the payments. There's a first, a second, maybe even a third. And maybe they're making the first, but they're not making the second and third, or maybe they're not making any of them. You can, if you can find out through the county records or through any foreclosure service, you can find out who they're not paying. You can approach them and offer to buy that paper at a discount. If they have, say, a first, a second, and a third, maybe the third is for $25,000. Well, if the first is not being paid, the first is going to start a foreclosure process, which will wipe out much of the second and all of the third, more than likely, unless it has a ton of equity in the property. It'll wipe it out. So this third's in real jeopardy. If the third wants to keep their place, they have to keep the first and the second. They have to keep their first and second in good standing. If they don't keep it in good standing, then what will happen is that these guys will get wiped off and the first will take the property. Here's what I recommend doing. Contact the third. Let's say it's a $25,000 third. Offer them $1,500. Offer them $2,000. Say, you are going to lose everything if you don't sell me your position. Because as soon as the foreclosure happens, you're wiped out. They know that. This is their business. It's not worth it to them to keep the first and the second current. It's just not a good business model. But they might sell you their position for $2,000. If you bought it for $2,000, you just bought yourself $23,000 of equity, possibly. You can then go to the second and make the same offer. I'll buy the second at a discount. And defaulted paper you can buy cheap because people don't want to have to go and get an attorney and do a foreclosure and have a sale and all that kind of stuff. A lot of them, they just want their money and move on. If they can't get all their money, some is better than nothing. If you can make a deal with that one, then you've got an opportunity to now, at the very worst case, if this guy reinstates his first, you have an opportunity to either start the foreclosure process yourself, or at least you're going to get monthly payments on your second and your third at a higher interest rate than the first is getting. I hope this isn't too confusing, but another way you could do it is, let's say the first, second, and third were all behind, and the first was already in foreclosure, and there was really not a whole lot of equity, almost no equity. You could go to the first, you could try to buy the property subject to the existing financing. This guy's probably just looking to get out because he's being swallowed up by all these loans. There's not a lot of equity. You could buy the first from him. You don't have to bring him current yet, and you don't have to record the note. You just know that you own it. You can go to the second. You don't have to tell them that you own it. You just say the first is in foreclosure and you're going to be wiped out. Sell it to me at a discount. He sells it to you at a discount. Now you have a little equity. You go to the second. You make the exact same offer. Buy it for whatever you can, the cheapest you can. Now you own the second and the third, but you also own the first. So you've just wiped out the two junior loans and you've created equity in a property that didn't have any equity. You bring the guy current on the first. You can either sell the property at basically a huge profit, or you can keep that property and rent it out. But either way, you took a piece of property that had, that's a house, I guess that's a window, smoke out of the thing. You bought a piece of property that didn't have any equity, and by starting in the back and working your way forward, you created equity that wasn't already there. Defaulted paper has so many ways to work for you because you're dealing with people's motivation. They don't want to lose, they don't want to lose, and this one is not likely to lose, but you can just reinstate them and keep that property. The seller is on his way down the road having no idea what you had in mind to do, and these people are feeling lucky that they got something out of it and you made a profit. This has been 5 Minute Money. I'm Bill Bland. Thank you so much for joining me.